greatest groups in sports entertainment ever.
On a dramatic episode of Monday Night Raw, emotions ran high as Roman Reigns broke character to deliver a heartfelt message that sent shockwaves through the WWE Universe. Following a brutal clash with Seth Rollins and his new faction, Reigns stood tall, not alone, but shielded once more by an old ally. In a rare and powerful moment, Roman turned to the camera and publicly thanked Dean Ambrose, the man who stood by his side when it mattered most. The words, "Thank you, Dean. You were my shield," echoed louder than any chant in the arena. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was raw gratitude, a tribute to a brotherhood that defined an era. Fans were left stunned, hopeful, and emotional as Roman hinted at something deeper. The possible rebirth of a bond forged in chaos. Was this a one-time moment, or the beginning of something much bigger? The betrayal that changed everything. As the triple threat match reached its fever pitch, the WWE Universe witnessed the most shocking betrayal in recent memory. Paul Heyman, the man who once called Roman Reigns the head of the table, the architect behind Reigns' reign of terror, and the man who molded the Tribal Chief's legacy, stunned everyone by turning his back on Roman in the blink of an eye. The betrayal was not just a strategic chess move, it was a gut punch to Roman's core. Heyman didn't stop there. He abandoned CM Punk as well, aligning himself swiftly and coldly with Seth Rollins. The landscape of WWE shifted beneath the feet of every fan watching live. This wasn't mere betrayal. It was war declared in the most brutal way imaginable, and the fallout was immediate. The very next night on Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins confidently walked to the ring, flanked by his new ally, Paul Heyman. Calm, smug, and exuding an aura of untouchable confidence, Heyman held the microphone and wore a smirk that screamed dominance. Chaos explodes. CM Punk's furious retaliation. Before the newly formed alliance could further dictate their agenda, chaos erupted again. CM Punk, consumed with fury, stormed down the ramp like a man possessed. The WWE Universe roared as Punk charged into the ring, launching a brutal assault on Rollins. Fists flew with lightning speed, the ring becoming a battleground of raw emotion and unleashed anger. Rollins, caught off guard, tried to regain control, but Punk's rage was relentless. Not content to settle his score with Rollins alone, Punk turned his wrath toward Heyman, aiming to deliver retribution to the man who orchestrated this new reality. But just as Punk was about to land a decisive blow on Heyman, Seth Rollins recovered and blindsided Punk with a vicious stomp, halting the momentum and shifting the tide back in his favor. The Tribal Chief's ruthless comeback. Just as the WWE Universe began absorbing this shocking turn of events, the arena's lights dimmed, and the unmistakable theme of Roman Reigns echoed through the arena, sending a thunderous wave of cheers and anticipation. The Tribal Chief had returned, not as the calm and calculating champion the fans had grown accustomed to, but as a man burning with the fires of betrayal and vengeance. Roman strode to the ring with ruthless intent, eyes blazing with fury. Without hesitation, he launched himself at Seth Rollins, delivering a spear with brutal precision that shook the ring and silenced the crowd in awe. The message was clear. Roman was not done. He was reclaiming what was rightfully his. Turning his gaze to Paul Heyman, the architect of his downfall, Roman readied a Superman punch filled with thunderous fury. A blow meant to crush Heyman's ambitions once and for all. Braun Breaker, the wild card, enters the fray. But before Roman could deliver the finishing strike, the arena exploded once more. Out of the shadows, Braun Breaker, the former Intercontinental Champion, who had been lying low since his Wrestle Mania loss, launched himself at Roman like a missile. The crowd gasped as Braun Breaker executed a devastating spear that sent Roman crashing into the unforgiving ring post. This was not a random act of violence. Braun Breaker, reborn and ruthless, had aligned himself with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. His cold, merciless aggression was a new weapon in Heyman's arsenal, a brutal force designed to dismantle Roman Reigns' dominance piece by piece. Braun Breaker dragged Roman across the floor, demolishing the barricades and tearing down the tribal chief with relentless fury, sending a clear signal to the WWE Universe. A new power trio was born. Fans who had long awaited the ultimate showdown between Roman Reigns and Braun Breaker finally glimpsed what the future held. A brutal war between titans, fueled by rage and a thirst for supremacy. A new Shield is forged. What had once been whispered in the shadows soon became undeniable. Paul Heyman's new faction, a darker, more vicious version of the Shield, had emerged. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and a mysterious third member who remained yet to be confirmed formed the core of this formidable alliance. Rumors swirled, with Drew McIntyre's name dominating speculation. McIntyre, a veteran champion known for his unpredictable and often volatile behavior, could be the final piece of the puzzle. If he joined forces with Rollins and Braun Breaker, the trio would become one of the most destructive forces WWE had seen in years, combining sheer brute strength, ruthless aggression, and strategic cunning. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns refused to be isolated. The blood of the original Shield still coursed through his veins, and he was already regrouping and strengthening his own ranks. In a backstage moment that quickly went viral, Roman was seen offering heartfelt thanks to Dean Ambrose, now known as Jon Moxley, praising him as the only brother who never turned his back. Brotherhood rekindled Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. The lights dimmed on Monday Night Raw, but the WWE Universe was about to witness something far brighter, the rekindling of a brotherhood once thought broken. Roman Reigns stood in the center of the ring, no longer the smug tribal chief towering over the locker room with championship gold, but a man stripped down to something raw and real. In a moment of uncharacteristic humility, Reigns spoke not with arrogance, but with emotion. And his words weren't aimed at his rivals, not Seth Rollins, not Paul Heyman, not even the surging Braun Breaker. They were aimed at the one man whose absence has echoed through every power struggle since the fall of the original Shield, Dean Ambrose. Reigns' gratitude to Ambrose wasn't just a nostalgic tribute. It was a promise, a vow that the foundation they built together still mattered, that even in an era dominated by betrayal, a bond once forged in steel chairs and sacrifice still had weight. The new allies, CM Punk and Damian Priest, with Seth Rollins turning to the dark side and aligning himself with Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker, Roman needed more than just nostalgia. He needed soldiers. He found the first in CM Punk, a man who had felt the sting of betrayal just as deeply. Punk's recent battle scars from Rollins and Heyman's manipulation mirrored Roman's own fall from grace. Their alliance feels destined. Two anti-heroes forced into unity by a common enemy. Together, they bring a volatile mix of experience, passion, and fury, all focused on dismantling the monster that Rollins has become. Enter Damian Priest, a star on the brink, always circling greatness, but never quite crossing the threshold. Priest has power, presence, and potential, but what he's lacked is purpose. Aligning with Reigns and Punk may be the moment that unlocks his legacy. The ultimate question: who completes the new Shield? As whispers swirl and anticipation grows, one name continues to rise above the rest: Dean Ambrose. The man now known as Jon Moxley outside of WWE has remained distant from the sports entertainment machine, but Roman's emotional tribute was no accident. It was a message, a spotlight cast into the shadows, inviting Ambrose back into the fold. Could he return, even for one war, one battle, one cause? And while fans speculate that Drew McIntyre could be Rollins' final puzzle piece, a bruising, bitter warrior who's flirted with darkness, the WWE Universe can't shake the question: will Ambrose answer Roman's call? The Road to Backlash, 2025. Brotherhood versus Betrayal. Backlash. 2025 is no longer just a premium live event. It's a battleground, a collision point where past loyalties clash with new alliances. Cena versus Orton may be the marquee on paper, but the real main event is emotional, spiritual, and deeply personal. Reigns' shield, rising from ashes with Punk and Priest by his side, represents a return to integrity, to the brotherhood that once redefined WWE. On the other side stands Rollins, the architect turned manipulator, alongside Heyman, Breakker, and perhaps McIntyre. It's ambition versus authenticity, betrayal versus brotherhood. This war isn't about belts or bragging rights. It's about who gets to write the next chapter in WWE's legacy. And for Roman Reigns, it's clear. The only way forward is to bring the Shield full circle.